powerful Constructicons, Decepticon vehicles built to destroy planet Earth. More than meets the eye, they're robots in disguise. And the Constructicons combine to form the dreaded Devastator for really big destruction. Transformers Generation 2. Constructicons each sold separately.
So, as we saw earlier, we saw the Dinobot commercial that was specific to Dinobots. And then now we see the one specific to the Constructicons. So this is kind of weird where they spaced it, where I got this link, it ended up being that way. I don't know why. Don't ask me. One thing I will say is that I like the way that they really displayed the Constructicons and how they combined and how they showed them actually turning from vehicles to bot mode, seeing the combination done, and just in general, like showing them off and really looking at them and seeing them in a nice way. I think that it looks. I think that they look pretty nice and. Excellent figures. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Devastator personally. So cool, very very cool.
From planet Cybertron comes Optimus Prime's greatest challenge. Megatron, the evil Decepticon leader, crushes Prime with power sound treads, transforming from battle tank to deadly robot with power arm lasers and lock and load super sound cannon. Megatron can blast Prime into spare parts. Listen to the voice of Doom. Transformers Generation 2. Megatron is all you see here. Optimus Prime sold separately.
So that was Megatron. One thing I will note is that this is a Megatron that features him as a tank rather than as a simple like gun. Because if you know the G1 figure, basically what you had was like a mini like sniper. I mean, if you actually brought that on like a plane or something like that, yeah, they would look at you and say that looks like a gun. Like that's basically what it looked like. It looked like a real gun, which is why like it's a big issue if you think about it. But now they decided, okay, we're going to turn this into a tank. And that's something that they did for a while with a couple of different variations of it. And I personally am a big fan of that. I like the look. I like the treads idea and all that. And they definitely emphasized the scope and the cannon big time, which was signature for the original G1 Megatron. But Megatron's awesome. Of course they're gonna do the sound effect thing since Optimus has it. Hey, why not do the same thing for Megatron? Because they're like the two leader figures that are like the leaders that are so significant that they have to have something unique just to them, at least from what we can tell. I mean, we haven't really seen any others that have had it, so I guess at least from that you can assume that they especially had it because they were important and they're pretty major characters. I mean, I have to say, when you think of Transformers, those are typically two of the names that you often think of, other than like a couple other names here and there, like Bumblebee or Grimlock or a few others. But I mean, you definitely Optimus, obviously, but like Megatron, a lot of people definitely think of Megatron. You have to remember Megatron. I mean, hey, he's the leader of the Decepticons in most versions of the show. So yeah.
Transformation!
Transformers! The aerial bots are taking their shots. Some of both plastic Combaticons. They can all change and be rearranged to form a super robot Superion. Cause the Combaticons are warring, Onslaught is roaring. Here's one metamorphin, Bruticus. They all combine and kick Superions behind as the big bad battle in Bruticus.
That was brutal!
No! That's Bruticus!
Transformers Generation 2 aerial bots and Combaticons each sold separately.
So that was the Baticons and the aerial bots, obviously showing off Superion and Bruticus. Obviously, two major combiner figures, very very significant. I mean, Bruticus and Superion, super significant. And we saw the Devastator one. I mean, those are like three big ones. I mean, obviously there's more, like there's Menasor and there's Computron and there's a couple other ones, but I mean those two that were advertised there, pretty good. Interesting because they had like a rap going on there, which was kind of interesting. And it's early Transformers, and it's just kind of like, ooh, interesting. I kind of like it. I'm just like, yeah. It's just kind of fun. A little bit different, but still enjoyable. And if you like Transformers, I mean, hey, who doesn't like Bruticus and Superion. I mean, those two are some pretty cool combinations. So yeah, and the aerial bots themselves are like really awesome. The Badutron, the other ones are okay, but I think that Superion's pretty awesome. So yeah.
Cool hot rods!
Transforming laser rods! Flying all around in the air and on the ground. Transformer rotors are spinning. They can change before your eyes. That's a rotor shooting guys. When they get into a battle, they be winning. Blazing in the dark, laser rod cars. Metamorphing into warriors. Electro bolts, sizzle, jolt. Fighting with lightning laser blades.
Really motors!
Cause I'm a transforming rotor.
Transformers Generation 2, rotors and laser rods each sold separately.
So those were lasers and rotors. Okay, the rotors, I remember those being a huge thing. Even more recently, not in the recent decade, but like early '90s for sure. Those were a huge thing, and early 2000s to an extent, they were still a thing. Kind of a different fun thing, spin like a top idea, shoot them off and all that. Kind of cool. Very gimmicky, but okay. Like that's really what it is for me. Like I'm not always a big fan of the gimmick ideas, but at the same time, I think that this is a simple one. It's not too extreme, and it works. Cool commercial again. That rap just kind of fun. Different. If you like that stuff, it's cool. They advertise whatever the product is pretty well. That's happened in a lot of shows for toys or just in general, toys in general. I've heard that wraps happen pretty often for all sorts of different things to advertise toys, and a lot of times they're pretty successful because they're fun and you want to sing along with them. So yeah.
Battle tank!
Battle this. It's heavy metal cruncher time as Optimus Prime goes toe-to-toe with Combat Megatron. Prime is one tough dude underneath his hood. He's a transformer missile fun phenomenon. Combat Megatron is combat armed. His mighty mega missiles are slamming. He can metamorph and use mega force, but Combat Optimus is still standing.
All right, Optimus!
Over here.
Yeah!
Transformers Generation 2, new Combat Optimus Prime and new Combat Megatron each sold separately.
Okay, so this time it was Combat Megatron and Combat Optimus. Different look for them because they definitely don't look like what they typically look like, and the commercial itself made fun of that idea at the end, where they had like a kid saying "You go Optimus," and then he was looking at what you would think would be Optimus, and it was Optimus comes out and is like, "Nope, that's not me," and it's just like. You have to wonder why they did that. I mean, I get it that it's supposed to be a different look, and they were trying to advertise that because it's supposed to have that big emphasis on the missiles, which obviously is not what we typically know, either Optimus or Megatron. I mean, Megatron, you would expect that a little bit more, but Optimus, that's a lot more unusual for him because he has a gun and he's had like the sword before, the Star Saber or whatever. But typically you don't see him using a missile launcher or anything along those lines. So obviously it has that gimmick aspect again. So that's understood from that perspective, though it would be nice if they tried something else to kind of make it a little bit more what most people are used to. But it's a toy, and it's not one of the ones that collectors are probably looking at to the same extent as the ones that you would typically be looking at without the gimmicks, the ones that are regular figures. So yeah.